Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. Old Man Winter has caught up to me. Feeling a little under the weather. Uh, so today's video, I want to focus on something that makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. And that's the earnings combo trade. I love earnings combo, probably my favorite setup. And for those of you guys that follow me and the Options and Play letter, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this a lot. Um, Last week was a little interesting. Uh, we had some pretty wild action across the market, and what happened was a lot of the names, the setups that I was looking at coming into the week, the charts kind of got all bent out of whack. So a lot of the tight patterns, or basically what I was looking for, maybe have played out before. The patterns either broke out or broke down. So a lot of sloppy charts. Uh, but then as we headed into the finish last week, big lots still kind of sitting around. Really in the consolidation that I was looking at when I was like screening for setups like the week prior. And the earnings combo trade is basically what I call like it's like a two for one, right? So it's an earnings move plus a technical move on top of that. So in this case, it was I was looking for a technical. I was looking for an earnings move lower, which would trigger a major yearly breakdown. And let me talk through like the reasoning really quick while I was looking for that. So I always say that like you know stocks have stocks kind of give you like a playbook, right? They tell you like the history. The last few quarters kind of show you uh, that they're not perfect for indicating what the number is going to be, but they do give you kind of an idea of maybe what's going to be, right? So in big lots, it was very consistent. I mean, the numbers were weak. Weak guidance, miss and cut guidance, miss and cut guidance. So that's a trend, right? At the minimum, weak guidance. There's a couple quarters where it just straight up missed across the board. I mean, missed top and bottom, missed comps, cut guidance. So you can obviously see that the stock is off the high for the year. It kind of hit three quarters in a row when it reported, right? And what I thought was interesting. So you have a history of weak numbers at least in the last like 3 or 4 quarters, right? And then if you go back even further, right, you can see that the stock is really just been like leaning at the low of this long-term support level, right? Let me just draw like quick. You can see it's just kind of hanging out underneath. Like you can either say like the long uptrend, or if you even want to go this way, you could say 40 has been a really critical long-term area of support, right? So either way you look at it, like recent ugly numbers have put the stock basically at the bottom of really critical support. So you have 3 quarters in a row of missing. The stock is hanging at big support. The 3 or 4 price didn't move. I think it was about
Huawei
$3.
CFO bail hearing
So
resumes
so
after
the
break in
$3
Vancouver.
price didn't move on big lots. If it dropped, it could potentially trigger like a much more substantial break because it's sitting right at the low of long-term support. So that's what I was looking at, right? And and what happened? Well, Big Lots did exactly what we were hoping they would do, and they missed, and then they cut guidance, and the stock had a material breakdown, right? So like the three point price did move, ended up leading to like about a $7 or $8 move, and that's because it was you get the earnings move plus like a technical multi-year breakdown, right? When it broke this year's low. You can see it broke this year's low, broke last year's low, right? Sorry, this was 2016's low, and then it actually traded all the way down to I believe 2013. 2000, no, not quite down there yet, but almost down to 2014's low, right? So it's just a great example of an earnings combo move. It's you don't always have to play like the the most widely known names, or like the ones that are the most volatile on a day to day basis, because sometimes it's the names that don't move that often and really only move around earnings, which really can present like great opportunities. I mean, Big Lots is not a name that most people day trade, right? But it just had like a really nice setup going into earnings. The chart held, which was like important last week because a lot of charts got kind of broken a bit, and the options were were reasonable. I mean, they weren't pricing in like a super huge move, and it just didn't seem like they were pricing the potential
Earlier
for like
today, they said
that
there was
combo
attack on
move
their
lower.
servers, Middle East servers. Scotland must moat hit in the cyber attack.
So I
Impact of
want to
cyber
highlight
attack
this.
still under assessment.
These plays are
Servers will be restored
they tend to
after
be
analysis
there
of
for the
attack.
taking. It's just you kind of have to like look outside the box a bit. I mean, it's not always the household names the ones that are going to give the opportunity, right? So um, it's just it takes a little work, takes a little bit more deeper digging, looking at the names that maybe you're not all that familiar with, because it's like sometimes there's some like really great setups that are flying under the radar, and I felt like BIG was one of them. So, as always, I love to hear from you guys. Apologize for the raspy voice here. Hopefully I'll feel a little bit better in the next day or two. Um, but please reach out. Questions, comments, pass them along. Hope you guys have a fantastic night, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.